Mathematicians, welcome to Hot Topics this week. This week we are going to be focusing on identifying and solving word problems. So we've done this before. We've done this with addition, with subtraction, with multiplication, and we've done a few with division. Now we're going to put them all together. So part of the reason why we're doing this is when we do them separately, we don't really have to think about what operation we're going to do. We don't really have to think about if we're going to do addition or multiplication or subtraction or multiplication, because normally when we focus on these word problems, we are doing the word problems right after we learned addition. So we're getting practice with word problems, but not necessarily recognizing what the problem is. So we're going to focus on really how to recognize what it's asking us to do. And the big way that we want to do that is we want to look at the wording that is in the question. So when someone asks us to do something, we want to make sure that we are doing it correctly. And think of this in a real world sense as like if you're cooking something and it says to combine flour and sugar in a bowl, well, you need to know that the word combine is telling you to add those two things together in a bowl. If you thought that combine meant to subtract, then you would be taking them apart. Well, that wouldn't really make sense in the context of cooking. So we need to make sure that we are really thinking of what these words are asking us to do. So kind of some keywords here that we're kind of looking for, and I'll show you them. So if we're thinking addition, okay, a question's asking us to add things together. It might say add or all together, this and that combined, how many, how much, all increased by, plus or sum. Then the big one's together or total. So how many pieces of pizza did he eat in total? These words can really help us understand that it's addition because it sounds like we're putting things together. Now minus is kind of the opposite. So subtraction is kind of the opposite of that. It might ask us for the difference, finding the difference of a subtrahend and a minuend. Fewer, how many fewer did they eat? How many did we take away? How many are left? So all of those words kind of clue us into subtraction. Multiplication, we kind of think of a factor of, or every group has so many. So it's a row of 5 by 8. So that would be multiplication. So multiplication is when we've got kind of groups, or we're thinking of so many in something per whatever we're thinking. So like so many people in 8 groups, that would be multiplication. And then the last one, division, thinking each group has or equals sharing, how many in each share something equally, and how many parts. So we're taking something bigger and splitting it up into something smaller. So let's look at a question here. This first question, Tommy wants to give his 3 sisters some of his Halloween candy. He has 36 pieces of candy and wants to give each sister the same amount. How many can he give each of his sisters? Now we're thinking, okay, it's marked division, but how do we know that this is division? Thinking, okay, what clue words do we see? Tommy wants to give his 3 sisters some of his Halloween candy. He has 36 pieces of candy and wants to give each sister the same amount. So give each sister the same amount. Let's look here. We're giving them the same amount. So that'd be addition, multiplication, subtraction, or division. Well, when I look on division, it says share something equally. So they want to share this equally. So if he's giving them each the same amount, then this would be division. So those clue words can really help you here. Now we're looking at the words and we're trying to figure out, okay, how do they help us figure out it's multiplication, division, or subtraction? And then you are using those to help you kind of solve the problem. So you guys are going to be identifying some word problems this week and then solving them in part 3.